Golden Radio Hour.
Around Dodge City and in the territory on West, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
The people of Dodge City will argue their heads off on most any subject you bring up. But one thing they all agree on is the climate. They don't like it. In the fall, it's too windy and dry, and in the spring, they cuss the mud. And all through the winter, they say it's too cold and business is bad because the trails are closed. And now summer comes along, and they figure it's too hot and dusty. The town's overcrowded with trail drivers, and the flies are so bad they carry you off alive. Of course, they just talk. They don't really do anything about it. Except Chester. Sometimes Chester turns into a man of action. Chester, what are you...
By hokies, I finally got him.
Got what?
That cussed fly.
Oh, fuzzy.
Well, I don't care, Mr. Dillon. I killed all of them in here except that one, and he kept pestering me continual. Smart as a fox. I couldn't lay a hand on him.
So you haul out a gun and blast a hole the size of your fist through the roof of the office, huh?
It did sort of make an opening up there, didn't it?
Oh, well, it'll be handy when the rain starts. We won't have to go outside for our drinking water.
Well, I'll get up there and fix it, Mr. Dillon. I didn't even stop to think.
No, I guess not.
I reckon it's this heat. I swear I have never seen it this hot and dry.
No, not since last summer.
No, it's worse, Mr. Dillon. Every pump on the plaza is dry. Only place you can water a horse is that trough back of the livery stable. I remember one summer in Newton, summer of 71 or 72, I think it was, while the heat and the bugs...
Is this Marshal's office?
I'm the marshal, son. Come on in.
And shut that doggone screen door, quick.
My name's Brian Beck, Marshal. My father and I got in town this morning.
Oh?
We brought a herd up from the Big Bend country.
Oh, Lazy B-Bar?
Yes, sir, that's our brand.
I saw some of your riders around town trying to wash the dust off of their tongues. Have a rough trip?
Yes, sir. Half the water holes are dry, fences across the trail in North Texas, but that's not what I came in about.
Oh?
The fact is, Marshal, I'm trying to head off some trouble.
What kind of trouble, son?
Well, you see, the colonel, my father, is a fine old man, but sometimes he just doesn't get along with people too well.
Colonel?
U.S. Cavalry, 25 years, retired.
Oh.
You see, that's the trouble, sir. He tries to treat the cowboys like an army command. They don't like that. This morning, when he paid him off, one of them warned him to go armed while he was here. Told him he was going to shoot him on sight.
Oh, which one?
Bud Stark, the range boss. Short, stout fellow with a...
Oh, yeah, I saw him on the Texas Trail a while ago.
Marshal, my father was probably fast with a gun once. He thinks he still is, but he's not. He wouldn't have a chance.
Well, what you want me to do, then, is try to keep them apart, is that it?
I reckon so.
Well, 10 to 1, it won't work. If Stark's got his temper up, he'll find a way to make his call.
Well, maybe in that case, you better tell me where I can buy a gun.
You, know how to handle one?
No, sir. I grew up back east with my mother. I guess I can learn, though.
Yeah, sure you can. But a gunfight's not exactly the place to start practicing.
He's my father, sir. I gotta do something.
Tell me something, Brian. How old are you?
18.
All right, now you listen to me. Don't go buying any gun, and don't go messing around Stark. I'll look into it and try to straighten things out. But you get this through your head, Brian. Whatever happens, you stay out of it. You understand?
First room is the head of the stairs, the clerk said. This must be it, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, I guess so.
Reach. Don't move now.
You're Colonel Beck?
I am, sir.
My name's Dillon, U.S. Marshal here. This is my partner, Chester Proudfoot. What's the gun for? You expecting somebody else?
Well,
Bud Stark, for instance?
who told you? Stark been talking to you?
How long are you going to be in town, Colonel?
Oh, 3 or 4 days, maybe a week. Long enough to sell my herd and long enough to call that mouthy little foreman's bluff.
Well, why don't you just limit it to selling the herd?
I think you've been misinformed, Marshal. This man threatened me. I'm only aiming to protect myself.
Well, suppose you leave the protection to me.
By thunder, it was Brian. That's who told you. It's just like that sniveling whelp to go whining to the law.
I didn't notice any sniveling. He seemed like a pretty decent kid to me.
A milksop, Mr. Dillon, raised by a woman. Never had a boot in a stirrup before a year ago. Well, he's never had a gun in his hand.
Well, he's trying to get one in it now. He asked me where he could buy one.
Stark. He's planning to go up against Stark.
He was. He kind of figured he was protecting you.
Why, the lily-fingered young cub. Why, I'll...
You'll what? Have him court-martialed, shot at sunrise? He's your son, Colonel. He's not some soldier in a cavalry troop. Neither is Stark nor the rest of your men.
I'm not obliged to listen to this kind of talk, Marshal.
And if you go out gunning for Stark, and if you're lucky enough to live through it, I'll jail you and you'll stand trial. Now, you just sell your cattle and stay clear of Stark. Come on, Chester, let's go.
Place sure is crowded. Hot, too.
Last January, you were looking forward to this, Chester.
Oh, I must have been loco. See him anywheres, Mr. Dillon?
No, he was over there at the end of the bar earlier.
Hiya, Matt. Chester.
Oh, hello, Miss Kitty.
Kitty, how do you do it? Chester's starting to melt and run down in his boots, and here you are looking as fresh and cool as the 12th of April.
It's a trick, Matt. I just stopped worrying and cut out all serious thinking from the end of May until the snow starts to fly. You ought to try it, Chester.
Oh, I'm sure ready to try something, Miss Kitty.
How about a pitcher of beer?
No thanks, Kitty. I'm looking for the range boss of this Lazy Bee bar outfit. Fellow named Stark.
Oh, yeah. He's been here most of the day. Getting set to howl, I think.
Well, that's what I want to see him about.
Well, he's over there in the alcove at one of the draw tables. And you know who's sitting in the game with him? Cottonmouth.
Cottonmouth. That crooked little tin horn.
Yeah. Silk shirt, shiny boots, fancy hat and all. He hit town this morning.
Well, he'll head back out tomorrow morning. Come on, Chester.
Yes, sir.
I got $401 in double eagles right here in this boat check. And I figure on upping it to about $4,000 before this night's over. Anybody ain't figuring on seeing the game through might as well pull out right now.
Words like that, Mr. Stark, do nothing but arouse my natural enthusiasm. I regard them as a clarion call to a battle of wits. Cut the cards.
Yeah, you better cut him, Stark.
Dillon.
And with Cottonmouth in the game, it wouldn't be a bad idea to count him.
Marshal, you are maligning a reformed man.
Or you'll have to reform in some other town, Cottonmouth. You got till tomorrow morning to get out of Dodge. And this time you stay out.
No, I just don't get what you're up to, Marshal, breaking up a friendly game of cards this way.
Stark, with Cottonmouth in it, it won't be friendly and it won't be a game.
I'll take my chances, Marshal.
All right, suit yourself. You've been warned. But before you start this friendly game, I got something to say to you.
All right, say it.
We'll take a little walk, if you don't mind.
All right, Marshal, sure. I'll be right with you, gent.
All right, I'll go for a walk.
Stark, I understand you threatened Colonel Beck this morning.
Oh, he come a-crying to you, huh?
You know him better than that.
Yeah, I reckon so. Well, now, supposing I did, Marshal. Maybe I wasn't the only one making threats. Beck was going to have me strung up and horsewhipped.
Like I told the Colonel a few minutes ago, Stark, I don't stand for any grudge killings here.
There's people might call it self-defense.
I wouldn't, and I'm the one who will be calling it. If you pull that gun on Beck, it'll be a long time before you see Texas again. All right, Stark. You can go on back to your game.
Yeah.
It appears to me that's pretty hard talk for a hot day, Mr. Dillon.
Well, Chester, it's the only way I know how to handle it. Just to lay it on the line.
Yeah, and more than likely that's not enough to keep him from mixing.
Wait a minute, Chester. Look there.
What's that Beck kid? And he's wearing a gun, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah, and he's heading straight for Stark. Come on.
Mr. Stark, I reckon you can draw any time now.
Crazy.
So the old man sent his cub out to get me.
He don't know nothing about this.
All right, hold it now.
Huh?
Brian, you get out of here. And don't draw, Stark.
Draw? What, on this mama's boy? Here, now, give me that gun, kid.
Leave me alone.
Thank you. There. All right, now, you little smart aleck. Now, let's see if a boot in the head will teach you some sense.
Don't kick him. I told you not to kick him.
Don't you go... You had no reason to hit me, Marshal. That kid called me. You heard him.
Forget it. Now go on back to your game. All right, come on, Brian. Get up.
He wouldn't even draw. He just made a fool out of me in front of everybody.
Come on, Brian.
They'll be laughing at me all over town. They're laughing at my father, too.
Forget it.
I'll kill him, Marshal. So help me, I'm going to kill him.
Now you listen to me. Stark knocked you down. Yes, he kicked you in the head, but he could have killed you. He could have drawn and put a bullet in you before you knew what hit you. No, I told you not to buy that gun. Why did you do it?
You know why.
Sure, protecting your father, that's fine. Only you saw how far you got. So I'm telling you for the last time. Now you stay out of it and leave it to me. Now go on back to the hotel and stay there. Do you hear me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Here's your gun. Now stick it in that holster and don't pull it except to practice. You understand?
Yes, sir.
And just one thing more. Don't worry about anybody laughing. When a half-grown kid who's never had a gun in his hand stands up and calls a fighter like Stark, nobody's going to laugh. You got a lot of guts, Brian.
Well, Mr. Dillon, you think they're going to stay away from each other?
Stark and the Colonel? I don't know, Chester. About an even chance. If it holds off for a day or two, they'll probably cool down and forget about it.
Well, that kid sure was spunky this afternoon.
Yeah. Well, he's dying to have the old man respect him.
Yeah.
Too bad Beck's so bullheaded.
Matt!
In here, Doc. Thought it'd be cooler with the lamp out.
Well, don't bother about lighting it now. We've got a job of work between us, Matt.
Well, what do you mean?
Some of the boys just found a body lying by the horse trough behind the livery stable. Been shot in the back.
Who?
A trail driver. Name of Bud Stark.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first, there's no place like home, and there's no place like your home. Don't destroy it with fires caused by careless smoking in bed, careless disposal of lighted cigarettes, or the use of inflammable cleaning fluids. 90% of fires are caused by carelessness that destroys lives and properties. Don't let it be your home, your life. Now the second act of Gunsmoke.
stable is down at the east end of the plaza, across from the Dodge house. And the watering trough is out back at the edge of the corral. Stark was lying face down in the mud, and his horse was standing a few yards away with the reins trailing on the ground. Some of the boys from the railroad yard held lanterns so Doc could see to work. The flares of heat lightning were coming a little closer together, and a light breeze had sprung up, but there was no smell of rain in it. The air was hot and dry.
Hold that light down just a little bit lower there. Will you, Ed? That's fine. That's fine.
It's a bad business, Mr. Dillon, shooting a man in the back that way. Must have slipped up behind him while he was sitting there on his horse waiting for it to drink.
Yeah, it looks that way. Well, as soon as Doc gets through there, Chester, you better go through his pockets, collect all of his effects for the nearest of kin.
Yes, sir.
Well, he can get at it right now, Matt. There's nothing more I can do here.
No, whoever did it had him pretty well centered.
All the time in the world. When you're aiming at a man's back. Probably never knew what hit him.
Well, I wish it had happened some other way than this. Any other way.
Yeah. Got any idea who did it?
Yeah, I'm afraid so, Doc. Well, what do you got, Chester?
Well, not much, Mr. Dillon. His gun, of course, which hasn't been fired, a jackknife and a gold watch, sack of makings and some papers, box of sulfur matches, and that's it.
Well, he was traveling light. Matt, I thought Colonel Beck paid off his boys this morning.
Yeah, he did, Doc. Stark got in a draw game with a gambler named Cottonmouth. I warned him he'd get cleaned up.
Well, he sure did. Not a cent on him, Mr. Dillon.
Well, he doesn't need any money, Chester. No.
Think we'll have any trouble, Mr. Dillon?
The odds are against it.
Who is it?
The marshal. Open up.
Oh, I was about asleep, Mr. Dillon. I couldn't figure who was knocking.
Where's your gun, Brian?
Well, it's over there on the bureau. What do you want it for?
Been doing some shooting, son?
Yes, sir. I was following your advice. I was over in the river bottom practicing. Drawing, mostly. Too dark to shoot at anything. I fired a couple of times, though.
Pretty good shooting, Brian, to be as dark as it was. One of the shots caught him right in the center of the back.
What are you talking about?
Murder, son. That's what we always call it when it's in the back.
Well, I haven't killed anybody. I haven't been out of this hotel since 9 o'clock.
Got a witness to that?
No, sir. The only one would be my father, and he's been gone somewhere all evening. But I'm telling the truth, Mr. Dillon.
Well,
Who was it, sir? Who got killed?
Yes, who was it, Marshal? I'd like to know myself.
if you've been out around the town, you must have heard it by now, Colonel.
Well, I figured I'd better stay clear of things. I walked out along the railroad, watched the lightning. Who was killed?
Bud Stark.
Bud Stark.
He was shot in the back about a half hour ago over at the watering trough behind the livery stable. Well, Brian, I guess we better be getting along.
Just a minute now. What makes you think Brian had anything to do with it?
The facts, Colonel. He bought himself a gun this afternoon, called Stark in the Texas Trail about 4 o'clock and got knocked down and kicked in the head.
Brian, is that the truth?
Yes, sir.
He swore then he'd killed Stark, and about 8 hours later, Stark's found dead.
Oh.
It adds up, Colonel. I wish it didn't, but it's too late now to wish. That's why I told him to stay out of it. Told you both to stay out of it.
Went out and bought a gun. Didn't say a word. Stood up to Bud Stark. Why, Brian? Why did you do it?
Well, I figured maybe you'd think different of me, sir. I mean, if I showed you I could, well, pitch in and help when you needed it. Stand up and face things.
Marshal, what would you say if I told you you're after the wrong Beck?
Are you telling me?
Yes. I killed Stark myself.
Father,
Well, I'd say you're making a nice effort, Colonel. But you should have learned to appreciate the boy sooner. It's a little late now.
You're making a mistake, Marshal.
Father, you're wasting your breath. The marshal's right. There's no use trying to lie. I killed him. I'm ready any time, Mr. Dillon.
All right, let's go.
Matt, I'm buying.
No, I guess not. Thanks, Doc.
Might say this is on that fellow Stark. It'll come out of my coroner's fee.
Yeah. Fine.
No, I don't see what you got to be so glum about, Matt. An hour after a killing, and you've got the killer locked up tight and snug in jail. Oh, relax. Your job's over.
Yeah, I guess so. I sure wish it had been anybody else but that kid, though. I liked him. Figured he was all right. And then he... In the back, Doc.
Well, he's only a young'un. You can't blame him too much.
I got him bedded down for the night, Mr. Dillon. Put him in the corner cell. It's a little cooler back there.
Oh, thanks, Chester.
Doc, did you ever in all your born days see a spell of heat as bad as this?
Never did. It's a corker. Well, I thought earlier it might get a drop to a rain or
Heat
something.
lightning, Doc, just heat lightning.
I hear you settled that Stark thing in a hurry, Matt.
Yeah, I've got the Beck kid locked up, Kitty.
I'm sorry it was him, Matt. I guess he sort of disappointed you, huh?
Yeah, a man can be wrong, Kitty.
Well, it's been great for business. Everybody in town's been crowding in. They want to hear all about it and take a look at the chair Stark was sitting in before he pulled out of that poker game.
Well, I guess that poker game was half to blame for it. If it had been honest, Stark would have had enough in his poke to carry him through the night, instead of winding up broke before midnight.
He wasn't broke, Matt. He left here with $4,000.
He what?
Sure. That's why he broke up the game and pulled out. When he'd made what he said he'd make, he quit. Cottonmouth almost had a stroke. Most of it was his money.
But Stark didn't have a cent on him when we found him. He was... Kitty's Cottonmouth still here?
Yeah, he's back over there in the same game. He went out to eat, but he
Chester.
came...
Yes, sir.
Come on.
You think he might have, Mr. Dillon?
Maybe.
Makes for sociability. Gold is still a cheap commodity, and you can't carry it off in your pocket. My bet's in, so let's put up a shutter.
That's exactly the way I look at it, Cottonmouth.
Dillon, I still got till morning. That's what you said.
Did I? How's your luck running?
Oh, not too bad. I've had a few good hands.
Better than they were when Stark was in the game, huh?
Oh, we couldn't touch him. Took $4,000 off the table. He was pretty lucky.
Not too lucky. He's dead.
Yeah, I know. It's too bad. I figured that kid would get him. There's trouble with a green kid like that. They don't have any sense. Can't tell what they'll do.
Yeah, sure. Where were you when Stark was shot?
Well, I was over at Delmonico's getting a bite to eat.
How do you know you were?
What?
Nobody seems to know exactly when it happened. How do you know where you were?
Well, I was there about when it must have happened. Either there or back here in the game again.
You weren't near the livery stable?
Marshal, I know you don't like me, but that's no reason to try hanging a thing like this on a man.
Were you over at the stable, Cottonmouth?
No, I wasn't anywhere except where I told you. Straight up to Delmonico's and straight back here.
I see. And where'd you get the mud on your boot heels?
What do you mean?
Every pump in the plaza's been dry for days. Dust 6 inches thick. There's only one mud puddle in town at that horse trough back of the stable where Stark was killed. You couldn't stand to see that money get away, could you?
No. Look, I tell you, Marshal, you're just...
Cottonmouth, you're under arrest.
Look out, Mr. Dillon! Oh.
You made a mistake, Cottonmouth.
No, Marshal. You did. I robbed him, but I didn't kill him. I was going to. I followed him, but he was dead when I found him.
What's the point of lying now?
I'm not lying, Marshal. It's the truth.
He's dead, Mr. Dillon.
Yeah.
I reckon the boy will be mighty glad to get out of that cell.
Yeah, and I'll be glad to let him out, Chester.
He's a good boy. Trying to cover for his father and all.
Yeah. He'll make out all right. When he calms down a little.
Yes, sir.
Wait a minute, Chester.
What is it, Mr. Dillon?
Listen.
Say, that's coming from the back of the jail.
Yeah, come on. Quiet now.
There's a couple of horses tied there.
Yeah, sure. For the getaway. Colonel's trying to pry him out of jail. You're going to a lot of work for nothing, Colonel.
Marshal, don't shoot.
I'm not going to shoot, Colonel.
I couldn't let him down. Even if he did murder Bud Stark.
It's all right, Colonel. Everything's all right.
It was his last chance. I'm sorry, Brian. You'll have to face it out.
Listen to me, Colonel.
No use to lie anymore, Marshal. I saw him.
What?
I was out walking along the railroad like I told you. I saw Brian come up behind Stark and shoot him.
Oh.
I can't admire a man doing that. But he's my son. I tried to protect him. I've done what I can. Now they'll hang him.
Is this true, Colonel?
He's not a bad boy. He was just trying to help me. Just trying to help me.
I guess it is, Chester.
Yes, sir. But what about Cottonmouth?
It looks like Cottonmouth wasn't lying after all.
And he got himself killed for nothing.
Well, he tried to kill me. And he would have killed Stark.
Too bad he didn't beat Brian to it.
Yeah.
Gunsmoke, under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was written for Gunsmoke by Les Crutchfield, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were Lawrence Dobkin, Sam Edwards, Joe Duvall, and Lou Krugman. Parley Bear is Chester, Georgia Ellis is Kitty, and Howard McNear is Doc. Gunsmoke has been selected by the Armed Forces Radio Service to be heard by our troops overseas. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke. Sunday night, you are cordially invited to escape via CBS Radio. Yes, every weekend for drama that will take you right out of this world, listen for Escape at the Star's Address. This is George Walsh speaking. Sunday nights, Dick Powell is rough, tough Richard Diamond, private detective, on the CBS Radio Network. Around Dodge City and in the territory on west, there's just one way to handle the killers and the spoilers, and that's with a U.S. Marshal and the smell of Gunsmoke. Gunsmoke, starring William Conrad. The transcribed story of the violence that moved west with young America. The story of a man who moved with it. Matt Dillon, United States Marshal.
I sure do thank you for that breakfast, Mr. Dillon.
Forget it, Chester.
My steak, eggs, potatoes, and a glass of beer. Why, that could last a man clean to noon dinner.
I guess it could.
Mr. Dillon, you figure Emil will have your horse shod by the time we get there?
He should.
You think he's done him any good?
He's a good blacksmith, Chester. If he trimmed up his feet right before he reset those shoes, he ought to be fine.
Funny the way he took throwing his foreleg.
Yeah. Looks like there's somebody else waiting.
Yeah. Gil Tolman, ain't it?
Yeah, I think it is.
I'm telling you something else, Dutchman. You can whistle for your money. You won't get it from me.
All right. I don't make you pay.
The morning after I got him home, he was so lame he couldn't walk. I'd have break your head.
Please, if it was my fault, something I did wrong, don't pay me anything.
That seems fair enough, Tolman.
Oh. Well, Marshal, this fool Dutchman messed up my pony, and then he wants to get paid on top of it.
Well, maybe it's a stone bruise.
It ain't no stone bruise, Marshal. It's pinched feet, that's what.
Is that the horse you're talking about?
Why, no, he's back at the place. This is another one.
How about my horse, Emil? You finished with him?
All finished. Now he walks good.
Fine. Well, how much I owe you?
$2 all right, Marshal?
Sure. Here you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Chester, you get up behind. I'll ride you back to the office. Come on. There we go.
Marshal.
Yeah.
Mr. Tolman told lie.
Oh?
Yeah, the horse he ride just now is the one I shoot 2 days ago. You can see he's not lame.
He didn't seem to be.
There's sure nothing wrong the way he travels.
Emil, why is Tolman hoorahing you, huh? Do you know?
Maybe because I'm German. Maybe something else. Who knows?
Well, I'll ask him to settle his bill with you if you like.
No, Marshal.
Well, you won't get rich if you aren't paid, Emil.
Money is good, yeah, but better to have no enemies.
All right, Emil. Well, Chester, hang on.
Mercy on us! Mr. Dillon?
What, Chester?
Did you know that Lily Langtry's going to be here in a couple of weeks?
Oh, how did you know?
Mr. Hipple over at the Opera House told me.
Oh.
And in case I don't get to see her, he's going to let me have one of them big picture posters.
He is?
Yes, sir, the Jersey Lily. My, I sure would like to be tall hog at that trough.
Oh, hello, Matt and Chester.
Hello, Doc.
Hello, Doc. Hey, did you know Lily Langtry's going to be here, Doc?
Oh, of course, Chester. I already paid Hipple for a chair.
Oh.
Is this all you two got to do? Just sit around and talk?
Well, things are quiet, Doc. We can't always have a few shot-up cowboys just to keep you busy. Besides, we're waiting for the evening stage.
Wish I had the loan of a dollar. Maybe I'd get to see the Lily, too.
Chester, here.
Oh, no, sir.
Here's the dollar. Now, will you be quiet?
Well, sir, I sure do thank you, Mr. Dillon.
Marshal Dillon?
Oh, Emil, come in.
I just come by to see how your horse is.
Oh, fine, Emil, fine. I think that shoe and fixed him up.
Good.
Hey, you're all dressed up, Emil. You got your Sunday clothes on.
Yeah. I'm meeting stage 5 o'clock.
Oh, is that so?
Yeah. Got new wife coming.
Oh. You got what?
Is right?
Well, I didn't know you were married, Emil.
Oh, not yet married. I will get married after she arrives.
Well, forevermore. Who is it, Emil?
Well, I am doing good now and want to have wife and children. But girls here in Dodge don't want husband. They like better the Texas Trail and Longhorn.
Well, there's a lot of excitement and money to be had working around a saloon.
That's true. So I answer advertisement in St. Louis paper.
You did what?
Advertisement says the young German woman wants husband. So I write to the paper and say, come to Dodge City, be wife of Emil Volheta.
And she's coming in on this evening's stage.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, well, that's just fine, Emil.
You got a place for her to stay?
Yeah, I talked to Mr. Green at the Dodge house.
Ah.
She'll stay there until I get a place ready behind my smithy.
It's here. The stage just pulled up the other side of the plaza.
Oh.
Well, good luck, Emil.
Oh. Marshal, you and Doc and Chester come too. I want you to meet Gretchen.
We'll be proud, Emil.
Yeah.
You know, funny thing, I'm not afraid of anything. But now, my stomach is sick.
Yeah, there's only one woman getting off the stage. That must be her.
Yeah?
She's a pretty little thing, ain't she?
Well, go on, Emil. She's standing there waiting. Oh, we'll stay here. Go on.
Well,
Well, go on, man. Go on. There's plenty of time to be nervous later.
well. Grüß Gott.
Guten Abend.
Ich bin Emil Volheta. Ich bin fröhlich und glücklich, dass Sie gekommen sind.
Herr Volheta?
Ich hoffe, die Reise war nicht
My,
so schwer.
listen to that.
Nein, ganz gar nichts. Ich bin erst heute her.
Makes you wonder how they can understand each other, don't it, talking that way?
Oh, Chester, for heaven's sake.
Liebe Leute, ich werde Sie Ihnen...
Oh, look, he's bringing her over here.
Sprechen Sie Englisch, Fräulein Gretchen?
Ja, natürlich.
Ach, gut. Marshal Dillon, gentlemen, Miss Gretchen Schiller.
How do you do, gentlemen?
How do?
How do you do, ma'am? Welcome to Dodge, Miss Schiller.
Thank you, Marshal.
I hope you'll be happy here. You've certainly got a fine man.
I know much about him already. We have written.
Now, Marshal, I will take Gretchen to the hotel. Kommen Sie. Wir gehen jetzt. Gretchen, mal her.
She seems a little scared, doesn't she, Matt?
Now, Doc, she took a chance on coming out here.
Yeah, well, so did Emil. Getting married to a mail-order bride like buying a pig in a poke. You can't be sure till it's too late.
Oh, come on, Matt. This is an excuse for some sort of a celebration. I'll buy you a glass of rye. Hey, you too, Chester.
All right, Doc, since you're buying.
You know, I was just thinking. She's so little and Emil's so big, I hope he don't take it into his mind to beat her none.
Emil's about the gentlest man I've ever known, Chester.
And besides, Chester, men don't always beat their wives.
My pa did.
well. Sam, set out some glasses and a bottle of rye whiskey.
And then when the stage comes in a few minutes ago, I see where he gets himself a gal bought out of a newspaper.
Gil Tolman
One
again,
of them
Mr. Dillon.
foreigners is
Yeah.
all we need around here. Now there's two. We ought to tar and feather the both of them and send them on their way.
Doc, you and Chester wait here.
Tar and feathers is too good for foreigners that are trying to take over the town. Yes, sir. You're right.
Dolman, how drunk are you?
I ain't at all.
You talk like a man that's been drinking.
Ain't a man allowed to say what he thinks around Dodge no more, Marshal?
Not when he's thinking that way, Tolman.
This is between Woolhader and me. Has nothing to do with the law.
It's got a lot to do with me, Tolman. Now, you drink up and get out. And you take Spooner and Willie here with you.
Just a minute.
Now, you listen to me. All of you. Woolhader's trying to mind his own business. And if there's any trouble, I'll know who started it. And he'll go to jail.
You saying you're going to lock me up?
Tolman, if Emil Woolhader ever gets mad enough, he'll kill you with his bare hands. Now leave him and his girl alone.
Girl. Why, she's probably nothing but a little...
All right, Tolman. You and Spooner carry Willie out of here.
Okay, Marshal. We'll go. Just remember, I got a score to settle with that blacksmith.
We will return for the second act of Gunsmoke in just a moment. But first...
Later tonight, CBS Radio's Gangbusters again recreates a dramatic, spine-tingling, factual history of the pursuit and apprehension of some of the world's most dangerous criminals. Tonight's program reveals the story of a strange stick-up gang which comes to no good end in the case of the close-knit family. It's another story based on actual police files, telling the truth about criminals and crime. Don't miss the case of the close-knit family on Gangbusters over most of these same stations later tonight.
Now the second act of Gunsmoke.
By the end of the next week, Emil Woolhader had finished fixing up the little room out behind his smithy. And the week after that, he married Gretchen Schiller. On their wedding night, they made quite a picture, standing there by the fire out behind the smithy. The great giant of a man and his tiny little bride, smiling and happy. Doc had come along, too, and he was busy with his fiddle. People were laughing and eating and drinking. Somebody had brought along a barrel of beer, and there were hard-boiled eggs and pickled pig's feet, roast chicken, and smoked beef. Some of the women had brought sugar cakes and dried apple pie, and some of the men, whiskey. It was good fun, until Tolman and his sidekicks arrived.
Well, I didn't think he'd show up here, Mr. Dillon.
No, neither did I.
Where's the dancing?
He's kind of drunk.
Yeah, so are Willie and Spooner.
Willie, go find yourself a gal. You too, Spooner. Me, I got one waiting. I'm going to dance with this little old gal. How about it, Mrs. Woolhader?
Emil?
Come on, gal, dance. He don't care.
Emil?
We are all friends here. But
Nobody's dancing right now, Tolman. Why don't you forget it, huh?
Well, if it ain't the marshal.
You are welcome here, Mr. Tolman. There's food on the table and drink.
I don't want nothing to drink. I want to dance. Doc, start that fiddle playing. Come on, you. We're going to dance.
Maybe you drink too much to dance.
Don't you lay a hand on me.
Why don't you just go home, Tolman, and sleep it off?
Me and Gretchen's going to dance. That's why. Come on.
I'm sorry to do this, Mr. Tolman. Put me down. But now we put you in the water trough.
Put me down.
Cool you off.
You stupid ox. Put me down.
All right. There you go.
Well, that'll quiet him some, Emil.
Better than hurting him, I think.
You filthy Dutchman. I'll pay you back for that. Come on, Willie. Spooner, let's go.
Everybody, have fun. No troubles on wedding night of Gretchen and Emil.
And there wasn't any more trouble that night, or in the week that followed. I kept my eyes open, but there was no sign of Tallman or his 2 wranglers, and Dodge was pretty peaceful. Then late one night, trouble did come, but not the way I'd expected it. I'd fallen asleep on a cot in the office.
Mr. Dillon? Mr. Dillon.
What?
Wake up, Mr. Dillon.
What's the matter? What's the matter, Chuck?
There's a fire.
What?
It's the blacksmith shop. I come as quick as I could.
Well, is it bad,
Yes,
Chester?
sir. A bunch of the men are out there now.
Where's Emil?
I don't know. Nobody's seen him.
How about Gretchen?
Miss Kitty's with her. She's pretty upset.
Oh.
By the time we got bucket lines going, the place is just about burned to the ground.
Well, how did it start, do you know?
No, sir, I don't. But a shack like that flares up pretty quick. They didn't have time to get anything out, beds or tables or the like.
Well, there doesn't seem to be much left but a pile of coals.
So there ain't. Oh, there's Miss Kitty. Over there. And Gretchen.
Yeah.
Oh, Matt.
Mrs. Woolhater. Kitty.
Oh, Marshal. He's gone, all gone. And Emil worked so hard.
Now, it's going to be all right, Miss Woolhater. Kitty, why don't you take her on over to your place, huh?
Oh, that's a good idea. Come on, honey.
Oh, no, I can't. Emil will be back. He'll worry.
Well, the marshal can tell him where you are.
Where is your husband, Gretchen?
He was called away.
Oh? When?
A few hours ago. A man came for him. Said he was needed.
Well, who was it?
He was one of the men who came our wedding night.
Oh, she means the night of the chivalry, Matt.
Yeah. It must have been Willie or Spooner.
Yeah, that's right.
Gretchen! Gretchen, Liebchen. Liebchen, bist du beletzt?
Oh, Emil, der Gott. Ich war so bang
Emil,
Gretchen,
it burned too fast. The men couldn't get water to it.
Yeah, I know, Marshal. I've heard, but Gretchen is safe.
Yeah.
That is important.
I'm going to take her with me, Mr. Woolhater.
You're very kind, Miss Kitty. Right now, she needs a woman.
Yeah. Come on, Gretchen. Let's go.
Yeah, all right.
Marshal, I think somebody set that fire.
Oh, why do you think so, Emil?
Somebody wanted me away from my place. So he told me I was needed down the trail towards Willow Bend. But there was no team of horses with thrown shoes.
Well, maybe you just missed him in the dark.
Well, didn't the man who came for you wait to lead you back?
No, he rode on. By the time I dressed, he was gone.
Did you know him, Emil?
Yeah. It was the man Spooner. He works with Tolman.
No, he works for Tolman.
Yeah, and Tolman's just mean enough to do it.
He is.
Look, Emil, if you'll say that Tolman did it, I'll have him in jail by morning.
No, Marshal. No, this I settle myself.
I won't have any killing, Emil.
No. There will be no killing, Marshal, but for the first time, I am getting very angry. Not so much for me, but for little Gretchen.
Oh, what are you going to do?
I will wait. And when I see Tolman, I will teach him lesson.
You want some more coffee, Mr. Dillon?
No, thanks, Chester.
Did you know Emil Woolhater's been just standing across the plaza there all morning?
He's waiting, Chester.
Waiting?
Yeah, it's Saturday, and Tolman always comes to town Saturday for his week's supplies. He probably figures if he didn't come in this morning, people would suspect he was afraid to.
Yep. By golly, Emil's still there. Just standing. You think Tolman knows Emil's after him?
I don't know, Chester.
Mr. Dillon?
Yeah?
He's coming. Tolman's coming. And he's got Willie Sachs and Spooner with him.
Come on, Chester, let's step out onto the porch, huh? I think we need a little air.
Yes, sir. Hey, look at the three of them. Walking right down the middle of the plaza.
Yeah. Oh, Tolman, come over here a minute, huh?
Why, sure, Marshal. want?
Old man?
That crazy Dutch.
All right, Tolman, you and your men drop your guns.
Well, now, wait a minute, Marshal.
Drop them, I said. That's better. Now, gentlemen, I think the blacksmith wants to talk with you.
What?
Mr. Tolman. I don't mind when you don't pay me for work. I don't mind when you're a little drunk. But when you do something to upset my wife, I mind very much.
What are you talking about?
I'm going to fight you, Tolman, and hurt you.
You lay a hand on me and Spooner and Willie here will tear you to pieces.
I don't want to fight other men, but if they try to stop me, it's too bad.
You are crazy.
No, just very mad.
I'll see that they come at you only one at a time, Abel.
Please, Marshal, you stay out of it, out. If they want to come at me at the same time, let them.
Boys, get the Dutchman. Now, wait, old lady, wait.
All right, Abel, that's enough. Abel! Abel, stop it! Stop it!
Yeah.
Chester, run up and get the doctor.
I'm right here, Matt. I saw the whole thing. Oh, my, what a beautiful fight. What a beautiful thing.
All right, some of you men there, will you help Doc carry these three men up to his
That's
place?
right, young fella. Get the feet there. Get careful now, careful. Watch their heads against the stairs. Get that man's face out of the dust.
My gracious alive, I never seen nothing like it.
Yeah. Well, Emil, you want Doc to have a look at you?
No worse than shoeing Missouri mule. No, Marshal. I go to Gretchen. It is time we start building new home.
Gunsmoke, transcribed under the direction of Norman MacDonald, stars William Conrad as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal. Tonight's story was specially written for Gunsmoke by Mr. MacDonald, with music composed and conducted by Rex Corey. Featured in the cast were John Daner, Gene Bates, Vic Perrin, and Luke Krugman. Harley Bear as Chester, Howard McNear as Doc, and Georgia Ellis as Kitty. George Walsh speaking. Join us again next week as Matt Dillon, U.S. Marshal, fights to bring law and order out of the wild violence of the West in Gunsmoke.
When rustlers are on the loose, Gene Autry isn't long getting on their trail tomorrow night on most of these same CBS stations. Don't miss Gene's adventure titled Maisie's Boys, and a hard lot you'll find them, too. It's the Gene Autry Show with songs by the Melody Ranchers and Adventure 2 tomorrow night at the Star's address. Stay tuned now for Gangbusters, which follows immediately over most of these same stations. This is the CBS Radio Network.
Thank you for listening. Please like and subscribe.